into the Celtics postgame show. I am Josue Pavon. Sherrod Blakely is here. We got Bobby Manning in the locker room. He'll check in a little bit. And we got a heck of a performance by the Boston Celtics, man. 131-112 is your final. The Celtics showing why they have the #1 offense in the NBA. So much was talked about going into this game, including head coach Michael Malone of the Denver Nuggets. And, man, they showed them out. I mean, look, he talked about how they have to be on point defensively, protecting the three-point shot, controlling as much as they can control from the Celtics offense. And the Celtics went out and just, man, it's almost as if they didn't care about the assignments, right? They were just going out there and just dominating. The Denver Nuggets had a 1-point lead in the first quarter. The Celtics snatched it and never gave it back. I mean, the Denver Nuggets did pull 3 in the third quarter, but, man, what a show by the Celtics, man. Sherrod, what do you got for me?
Well, that's how you have to be. I mean, if you want to talk about being one of the top teams in the NBA, you need to put the smackdown on other top teams in the NBA. Denver came into
Yes,
this game
sir.
8-2, playing good basketball. They've got 2-time league MVP and Jokic doing what he does best, which is a little bit of everything. And it didn't matter. When you had Jaylen Brown come out, make his first, I think, 6, 7, 8 shots. Tatum finished with 30-plus points again. And to me, the X factor in this game was the bench. You got to give absolutely Peyton Pritchard credit for staying ready when his opportunity came to play. You got to give Luke Kornet credit, reminding us all that DeAndre Jordan is not quite the DeAndre Jordan that we remember back in the day.
Sure isn't.
So this was a good game for the Celtics. I mean, they had a lot of guys that stepped up, contributed, and handled their business, did a lot of the little things you got to do to win. And that, at the end of the day, you get a victory like this, a nice, comfortable victory over a very good Denver Nuggets team.
Absolutely. 34 points for Jason Tatum. You had 25 for Brown. You had Al Horford tying a career high in three-pointers during the regular season. Man, he was feeling it. 6 of 8 from 3. He finished with 21 points. I mean, just how much of a statement win is this for the Celtics team?
Oh, it's a big win because, well, first and foremost, you're playing a good team. Second, you were able to win going away without one of your key players available in Malcolm Brogdon. I wasn't really sure how that second unit would perform without one of its steadying forces available. But give those guys a lot of credit. You go down the line, Derek White, Pritchard, Luke Cornett, pretty much Sam Hauser. Again, Sam Hauser doing Sam Hauser things. All those guys were able to step in and make some big plays and help this team get a much needed win.
Did you sense some frustration from the Nuggets, like all those flagrant fouls and all those, like, is that what that was, or is that just the Celtics just putting together their best win of the season, man? Because I give them credit for coming up with the stops, for not allowing the Denver Nuggets to get into the defense whenever there was a missed shot. It seemed like they were just attacking throughout the entire, especially in the second half when they built that lead up again. How do you call it? Is this a statement win? Like, do you give it more credit to the Celtics, or do you think the Denver Nuggets just didn't show up in that second half?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think the Celtics are starting to figure out the way they have to play night in, night out to be an elite team. They have to have a certain level of aggression to just, frankly, be their optimal and give themselves the best chance of winning. And we're starting to see, I think, a little bit more and more of that as the season progresses. So again, this was a good win. I mean, it's a very good win for a Celtics team that's starting to look very much like the team we thought they would this year, based upon what we saw last season and some of the pieces they added in the offseason.
Without Malcolm Brogdon, he sat out of this one, his first missed game of the season as a member of the Celtics. And Peyton Pritchard picked things up, right? He certainly made the most of his playing time. Talk about him. What did you think about what you've seen from PP tonight?
Well, I mean, PDP is like Mr. Offensive Rebounder for the Celtics. I mean,
yes, he was.
It's incredible how this guy gets 5 rebounds, 4 of which are on the offensive glass. And let's not forget that great steal he had in the second quarter, where I think they missed like 4 or 5 shots, and DeAndre Jordan does, to me, the cardinal sin of big men, which is to leave the ball at your waist. Rasheed Wallace made that point to
Yeah.
me a long time ago that even I could out rebound him if the ball is at his waist. That's why big men are supposed to keep the ball high. DeAndre Jordan didn't do that. Peyton Pritchard made him play with his steal and then the layup. And it was that kind of night for him, just being in the right place at the right time, making the right basketball decision. And they're going to need guys to be ready when their moment and their opportunity to play is there. Because there's no way he could have known for absolute certainty that Malcolm Brogdon was not going to be able to play. But give Peyton Pritchard credit. He kept himself ready. And I wanted to say the Luke Kornet talk when Bobby's on because listen, we need to just start calling Luke Kornet, just call him Big Daddy Luke Kornet because ever since he became a daddy, he's been a different kind of baller.
Oh,
This
that's
was a
probably what it is, right?
this was a great game. I just remember when Derek White his first child was born, Hendrix, and those first few games he was looking like, yo, Daddy's home, Daddy's making plays. See that? See that? You got to give
Right.
Luke his props, man. Luke played a really good game. I love the fact that he actually looked engaged. He was assertive. He was trying to
Yeah.
make things happen as opposed to just kind of being out there running up and down the court, filling up space. He got away from just filling up space and decided to make his presence felt. And it's great to see, and hopefully we'll see more of this.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't back down. I felt like there was a couple of possessions where the Nuggets just scored on him quickly. You know what? I want to say Bruce Brown did it twice, and I feel like he had something to say to Luke each time on his way back up to the floor. And I feel like Luke just stayed with it. He didn't let that. He wasn't discouraged, even though the lead was dwindling down in that second half when the Nuggets were within three. And then in that fourth quarter, man, he just blended in with everyone else, with the rest of the offense. And I think that's one of the key signs of an elite offense is when anyone off the bench can go in and be productive just based off of what everyone else is doing out there.
Yeah, and the one thing I do like about that second unit also is that there's been a pretty consistent amount of effort that they give out there. Like you don't feel guys that come into the game are just kind of lollygagging and just kind of going through the motions. They're out there trying to make things happen. Derek White is aggressive with scoring. Peyton Pritchard scoring and, which is weird, rebounding. And Luke is just looks a lot more comfortable out there to be more than just a body, a 7 foot body with pulse. He's actually making plays, and that's great to see. And to me, Sam Hauser, he's just been one of, if not the most consistent second unit guy out there. And there were a couple possessions where, again, Denver tried to do what a lot of teams try to do against Sam and go at him and give Sam his credit. He's not backing down. He may not be a lockdown defender, but he's not nearly as big a turnstile defensively as I think we might have been led to believe.
Right.
And so, again, if he's able to stay solid defensively and keep knocking down the open shots the way he is, if you're the Celtics, that's all you want. That's all you want.
I feel like Hauser made the scouting report. I feel like he was on there. Is that the first time you've seen a team defend him in that way? I felt like they had a body on him almost at all times, especially when he first checked in the first half.
No, I think teams are finally starting to realize that the dude is shooting damn near 70% for 3 point range. You might want to
For
get a
real.
body out there. You might want
And
to
this is week
actually put
what
somebody in a
4?
zip code.
This is in the fluke, right? Teams know now. I think.
I'm just surprised it took this many games. I mean, I figured after maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 games of him knocking down shots, teams would adjust. But it's taken them this long to figure out that Sam Hauser is a knockdown shooter, and you might want to get a body out there in his zip code when he catches the rock because he's looking to shoot pretty much every time he gets it, which is smart because that's what he does well.
Absolutely. Definitely. And the Celtics again beat 31 to 112. Like I said, Tatum 34 points. Jaylen Brown though 20 points. Very efficient game from Jaylen. It took him a while to miss a shot. It was perfect going into halftime. He finished this one he finished this one with 25 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, starting with a triple double there. But more importantly, like I said about his efficiency, man, he's 11 for 15 from the floor, 3 of 4 from the 3-point arc. I know we talked a lot about Jaylen after Wednesday night's game. What did you think of him this time around?
Really good. I mean, this is the Jaylen Brown that if you're the Celtics, you love to see. Able to contribute in a multitude of ways. I mean, obviously his scoring, that's the one thing that we pretty much can count on night in and night out from him. But his ability to get others involved. I mean, I thought that pass he had in the first half where he hits Tatum in stride and Tatum lays it in for an easy dunk. Those are the plays that we have not seen enough of from Jaylen Brown throughout his career. And I think he is clearly someone who has that potential, has that ability. It's just a matter of him recognizing that and getting others involved and not just getting his own points. And again, his work on the boards was very good tonight. In fact, the Celtics as a team, I thought did a really
Yeah.
good job on the boards. And that's what they're going to have to do. It's going to have to be gang rebounding. It can't just be, they don't have a Shaquille O'Neal or a Dwight Howard or, guys who have been just single-handedly dominant rebounding types. They're going to need 4 or 5 guys every night to be on those boards. And Jaylen obviously has to be one of them consistently.
Absolutely, absolutely, and getting right into your offense. I think he did a really good job of doing that. Whether he was on the receiving end or whether he was the one pulling down the rebound and getting things started, like that's the type of Jalen that I think makes this team so difficult to defend because obviously this Tatum, obviously this team is they got shooters now, and you have someone like Jalen who is just so hard to keep up with in a one-on-one, in an open space. He'll blow right past you. He'll use his athleticism and he'll certainly get that shot down over you as well. He's so efficient offensively. When he's playing like this, and Tatum is playing the way he is with 30 plus points, this offense is pretty much unstoppable. It feels like, right? Especially against a top tier team from the Western Conference like the Denver Nuggets.
Well, one of the issues that they had, I thought Denver was they really didn't know how to defend Jalen. They didn't know whether to play him for the drive and just let him shoot or get up on him to shoot, which he can beat you with the drive. And so that kept them off balance, I thought, in terms of how to defend him all game long. And then that's not even factoring with having a guy like Sam Hauser and Jason Tatum and Al Horford knocking down shots. And I thought Al, I think exposed the one weakness in Jokic's game, and that is defense,
Mm,
particularly defending bigs who can stretch the floor like Al. I don't think it's a coincidence that Al's best night shooting the three ball this season just so happens to come against the one big man defensively who doesn't do well defending bigs who can shoot the three ball. So
mm,
this was
yeah.
again, I thought this was one of those scouting report nights where the Celtics had certain things on the scouting report that they wanted to attack, and I thought they did a consistent job of doing that. And the end result is a pretty comfortable win.
Yeah, man. Jokic, I mean, Al rather had Jokic chasing him all over the place because you just can't. You have to put a block on him. He made him pay. Obviously, when he got hot from behind the arc in the first half, he was kind of having a good game putting it together, low key. No one really noticed it at first until he hit those back-to-back threes in the second half. Man, like what a run, what a stretch for this Celtics team offensively. And then Jokic got into foul trouble. That's when they really were able to separate themselves in this team.
The Celtics right now, I mean, the more you watch them, you're looking at them. I think most people are looking at them with two different perspectives. One, they're good right now and they're winning games, but you can see enough room to grow that they could be way better than they are right now. I mean, they're beating teams by 10, 15 points, putting up 130 a night. But you got to believe that when their defense gets on track, because their defense is still a
Mm,
work in progress. It's not nearly
right.
as atrocious as it was like the first couple weeks of the season, but it's not nearly as good as it can be, especially when you start looking at the players they have on this roster, the ability that those guys have, and the fact that they've been able to kind of really kind of patchwork that defense without their one of their best defenders, if not the best defender, certainly among the bigs, in Robert Williams. So I think the scary part for a lot of teams about this Celtics squad is that they're winning now, they're finding ways to be successful, and you know that they're nowhere close to being at their best, or as Brad Stevens likes to put it, to be the best version of themselves. We haven't seen that
Mm,
yet.
yeah. You know what? It's interesting you say that, Sherrod. I feel like it's gonna come down to, and this might be stating the obvious, but it's just because it's something that Joe Mazzulla has been talking about pretty much since training camp, and that's fundamentals, right? I saw so much of that in this win, whether it was Peyton Pritchard boxing guys out to get those rebounds, whether it's just the way that they've been getting right into their offense without wasting time, not not using so many dribbles to get to their spots, 2, 3 passes, quick passes to get a quick bucket. I mean, that's the kind of approach that I feel like has helped this team a lot. But on the defensive end, I mean, if they continue to just lean on those fundamentals, they'll continue to lean on the textbook way of how to defend, I think they'll be fine because most of it's just going to be muscle memory in a week, or I should say in a month or two. Whenever Rob Williams does come back, because everyone sort of has that in the back of their mind. But this defense has to do this thing on its own and not just think about, oh, we'll be better when Rob is eventually back or when he starts to make his way back into the fold.
Yeah, I think it's hard for them, and I think it'd be hard for any team to kind of really make that mental shift when you have a guy on your back line who's just, I mean, he's that insurance policy that never lapses. He's just always there when you needed him, particularly in the playoffs. And to know that you're not going to have him for a while, I think it just takes a little time to adjust to that. Conversation with Al I had, about a week or two ago, talking about that, and he's right. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to not only just because he's not there, but just the usual period of time that it takes to bring everything together where you have some new pieces in the mix. Because every year you may have most of the core players back, but that doesn't mean everything is going to be as it was. Other teams around you improved and changed, and so have you. And so it takes a little bit of time for them to really figure out exactly what's the way to play as a group in order to be successful. And I think they're starting to figure that out. But again, if you're a Celtics fan, you got to love what you're seeing because not only are they finding ways to win, but they're finding ways to win without playing their best basketball. And to me, that's
Mm,
what the real legitimate title contenders do. They don't bring their A game every night and they can still bust that ass by 15. Those are the kind of teams that, again, they cause the most problems come playoff time. Again, I look at this game and there were so many little things, as you pointed out, just with the fundamentals. I mean, Marcus Smart being in the right spot to draw a
mm,
charge, Grant Williams being in the right spot to do, whatever he does. Peyton Pritchard with that great steal and layup, in that one possession where they missed like 4 or 5 shots, and he never gave up on the play. That's something that we from the moment you learn basketball, you're told don't give up on a play, and it's just
right.
refreshing to see them literally do that. And again, I put that in that bucket of fundamentals that you were talking about earlier. They're doing more of that, and that's one of the big reasons why they're winning games.
Absolutely. No question. What do they have? 5 players in double figures. You had White and Pritchard leading the bench. White had 10, Pritchard had 11. But man, he did a little bit of everything, man. I just feel like Pritchard would be the guy who you pull aside and say, "Hey, man, you did a really good job today." I don't know if he gets the game
Yeah.
ball, but you know what I mean, Sherrod. It's
Oh,
like
stop,
you really.
Joseph. We don't do no damn game ball. This is game what? 11? Talk about some damn game ball. Get out of here
I
with that,
mean,
man.
if we're doing the whole like high school analogy thing where
Look,
the kid who got the big minutes when he hasn't had those opportunities, all of
I'm
a sudden
not gonna
pops up
insult
big.
him with no damn game ball, Joseph. I'm gonna go with the mindset that he got an opportunity to go out there and bust somebody's ass, and he handled his business the way you would handle your business when you got a chip on your shoulder and you haven't been getting much run. That
That's
cat
true.
that's been sitting on a bench and you just itching to get in the game, and the minute you get your chance, you tell yourself before you step out there, I don't know who is gonna pay for me sitting on this bench, but I'm making somebody look foolish tonight.
Yeah,
Somebody is going to play poorly
that was
and
Pritchard.
justify me getting my check tonight. I will. My check is going to
Yeah.
be guaranteed by one of y'all busters getting bust out here. And DeAndre Jordan, you got some of that. Bruce Brown, you
Oh
got some of
yeah.
that. I mean, he made a lot of guys look silly. I mean, and again, I
DeAndre
keep going
got
back to that.
benched. He
Yeah,
got
as he
benched.
should have been. He was garbage. He was garbage. Listen, Josue, you've been around the game long enough to know if you are 7 feet tall and you grab a rebound, and a guy that might be listed at 6 feet might be, and I put
Generous.
might in like real, I put an asterisk next to that because I'm not thinking he's 6 feet. He not only takes the
I think
ball from
you
you,
can taller than him,
but
Sherrod.
he scores on a layup in front of you.
Yeah.
You could at that point, if I'm coach, I'm gonna be like, hey, young fella, not so young fella, let's have a conversation about like keeping that damn ball high. Like I said,
Keep it up.
that's
Keep it up.
fundamental basketball, and I give Peyton Pritchard a lot of credit for not allowing things that to me that play was kind of symbolic of just his time here. He doesn't
Yeah.
allow circumstances out of his control, like not playing, affect him when he gets a chance to play. He again, he did exactly what you're supposed to do in that situation. You make plays, you get your teammates involved. You do some things to get the crowd excited because again, his game doesn't have to necessarily be a stats-driven game. He's got to bring energy. He's got to make an impact. He's got to make his presence felt. And I thought he
Right.
did that from pretty much every minute he was out there, whether it was getting a steal, getting an unexpected offensive rebound, putbacks, and just overall feel for the game. I thought this was really one of his better games, and it's hard to um, understate how important this was, not only to the team winning tonight, but for his own personal confidence. Because I don't care how good you are,
No
I don't care
question.
how you feel yourself, or you think you all that. If you ain't
Right.
playing, it's hard to just
Yeah.
get yourself mentally locked in to go out there and ball. I give him a lot of credit, man. He brought it tonight, and they needed that. They really did.
One of the answers that I love from Joe Mazzulla before this game was someone asked him about what Pritchard needs to do in this matchup. Does he have to do his best version of Michael Brogdon? Like, what should be his approach? And he's like, I think Peyton Pritchard should be Peyton Pritchard. And I love that because, like, man, you're not going to ask him to do something that he usually doesn't do. We're going to let him shine in its own way, right? He's been around the team, been in this NBA long enough to know what this team needs, and he gave them exactly that in this matchup. And I think on the defensive, his mark on the defensive end of the floor is what really stood out to me the most. I think that's the part where will take that into consideration moving forward, putting him in spots where they need a big stop in the backcourt. The opposing backcourt's killing them, right? Let's say Marcus is in foul trouble, or Malcolm, when he comes back, is in foul trouble. You're going to start building that trust with someone like Pritchard if he's able to continue to come up when his name is called. And again, on the defensive end, we know he can knock down threes. We know he can run an offense, in spurts when you need him to. But for him to show improvement on that end of the floor, on a team where he's really fighting for playing time, I think it goes a long way for Peyton.
I'm going to have to shut you down on that one, Josue, because I am not bringing Peyton Pritchard in for defensive purposes. There's no way in hell that's happening. I'm sorry. He had a great game, and I give him mad props for what he did tonight. But there's no way in hell.
Steals, though, Sherrod, he wasn't doing that a year ago.
Listen. Let me tell you something. Allen Iverson was one of the league's leaders in steals, and when you watch him play, he gives up like 2, 3, 4, 5 for every steal he gets. He usually gets like a couple of layups. Peyton Pritchard isn't that bad, but defense is not his forte. Defense is not his strength. Defense is not what he does. Peyton Pritchard is an undersized point guard who's really more of a shooting guard who can make shots. He's got a great knack for getting inside the paint, not as a scorer, but as a rebounder. I mean, this game to me was a grander picture of what Peyton Pritchard does all the time. If you really watch him play, if folks really pay attention to him, he has a way of putting his nose in the paint, getting loose balls, forcing steals around the basket. But the downside is when teams go to half-court sets, that's not where he's good because he's typically going against guys who are bigger than him. He's typically going against guys who are a little bit longer than he is physically. And again, Peyton, I think, has a lot of the fundamentals that you want from a player. But again, every player in the NBA has something that they're not great at. And for him, it's defense. I don't think he's horrible. I don't think he's nearly as bad as some people make him out to be. But there's no way in hell, Josue, I'm putting him on the damn floor if I need a defensive stop. Especially when if I have a Marcus Smart, a Malcolm Brogdon, a Derek White.
Those guys are in foul trouble, Sherrod. I'm not saying like the last play.
Well, if they're in foul trouble, that's a different story. But because then I'm playing him not necessarily because this is a great coaching decision. I'm playing because I need to have somebody out there. And in that case, I can live with that. But if we're if we're up by 1 and the team's got like 3, 4 guards out there, and I got all my guards healthy, he ain't gonna get a 4 because I don't need that from him. Now, if there's the flip side, if let's say we absolutely needed a shot to go down, and we've got the ball in offense, and we're down by 1, and they've got a bunch of little guards out there, hell, I might throw him out there then because I know that I'm putting him in a position to be successful. And that's the thing about Peyton that I think people have to really try to understand. Joe is still trying to figure out what's the best way to put him in the best position to be successful. And again, tonight with no Malcolm, the opportunity to play was there. And to his credit, he made the most of his opportunity. But I don't think Peyton has really been in a lot of situations that were built for him to succeed. He's done some good things, but again, like I said, this was the perfect storm for him because this Denver team, I don't think they're very good defensively. Their basketball IQ, I would say, in some positions was very suspect. And again, that DeAndre Jordan play, to me, that's just a microcosm of, I thought, this game where Denver just didn't do the little things and the Celtics did. Because that was one of, again, you're going to see, I'm guaranteed you there's some high school coach out there who taped this game, who clipped that sequence, is going to show his players, when I tell you don't give up on a play, damn it, this is what I'm talking about.
This is what I'm talking about.
He's the smallest guy on the damn floor. The smallest guy on the damn floor. And yet when the play is finally over, he comes up with the big rebound. He comes up with the big steal. And he's the guy that scores. That's
what a high school coach would do, though. You would bench the center for the rest of the second half. So I like that. So Peyton Pritchard is Malcolm Brogdon's insurance policy. Is you telling me, Sherrod? All right.
I'm saying he's part of the
when
plan.
He's out.
I thought this. Yeah, when he's out, well, you have to. I mean, he's the next guy up.
Right, but my whole thing is like how can he separate himself from the, and look, I'm not vouching for the guy to crack Joe Mazzulla's rotation here, but in order for him to apply that pressure, I just think that's the end of the floor that's going to do it because Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, those guys can get stuff done on the offensive end of the floor that Pritchard can as well. They could do it even better, but the thing is that what separates him well, at least last year, I felt like it was the 3-point touch, right? This team is
Yeah,
different this year, right? They got
it is.
they got bodies for that. They got shooters, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just looking for a way he can carve his way into this rotation, like for his best interest. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
what can
I
he do?
do. See, and I think that's the challenge and problem with Peyton is that I don't think there's a clear path for him to do that. I mean, when you start looking at the rest of his roster, almost every guy has a certain area that's not strong that you could see them over time getting better at. I mean, I look at a guy like Sam Hauser, who, as we've seen, he's a very good shooter, and he's shown himself to be, a not too shabby of a defender either. So then you say, well, what's his next step for him? For him, it's just simple ball fake, step in, long two, or ball fake, step in, beat guys off the dribble, keep the ball moving. You can see areas where he can clearly get better, and he has the capacity to get better. Peyton, he's not going to get taller, he's not going to get longer, so his defense, from a physicality standpoint, isn't going to change. He can continue to be a very good shot maker, which I think he is. But to your point, Josue, being a pest defensively, yeah, that's probably a good lane for him to grow into. But I'm not sure that he's built mentally to do that because Peyton knows the same thing that we do. He's a hell of a shooter. And if you know you're a hell of a shooter, your teammates know you're a hell of a shooter, guess what they're looking for you to do when you get your ass out on the court? Knock
Mm,
down shots. So to me, Peyton, he's going to have to, I think, put together more efforts where he's showing he can do other things besides score. And I thought, again, he had a great night, I thought, scoring the ball. But I just thought his court awareness was a little bit better tonight than it normally is. He had that one lob to, I think it was Tatum that, it went out of bounds, but Tatum missed it. And it wasn't a great lob, but the fact that that's part of his thinking process now, getting other guys involved when he could have easily, at that point, just shot his own floater. Probably would have went in the way he was playing. But instead, he tried to get it to a teammate. So those are the kind of things I think Peyton has to really take advantage of those opportunities and show that he can do more than just knock down threes. Because Sam Hauser kind of has that department on lockdown right
yeah, he does.
now. And because of Sam's size, he gives you versatility. And again, I've always felt from the very beginning that that was going to be the biggest obstacle for Peyton to overcome, the fact that he lacks the physical dimensions and versatility that a lot of his teammates have. I mean, if you look at this roster, I think
Right.
he might be maybe the only guy that can only play one position, really. You can't put him at two guard unless the team is going super small.
Yeah.
A guy like Sam Hauser, you can put him at 2, 3 positions. Marcus Smart plays all five. Derek White can play 2 or 3. Luke Kornet, he can play a couple positions. He can play both bigs positions. And you start going on the line, and Peyton's kind of the outlier in that regard. That doesn't mean he's a bad player. That doesn't mean he can't help you, but you have to understand and figure out there's certain situations where he can be really, really beneficial to you, and a lot of other situations where it's just not going to be. He's not going to be in a position to be successful, and neither is the team.
Yeah, it can be limited sometimes. That's fair. I guess that's fair. Well, this other team got 3 players shooting above 40% from behind the arc. Like I
That's
didn't think that was gonna
crazy.
happen, right? I didn't think that was gonna happen. So again, I think that was the part that the Pritchard fans were kind of rooting for him. And oh man, if he can just get hot from 3, he'll
And
get a
he's not one
spot.
of those three.
No, he's not. That's the thing.
And then,
Last year though, that would
yeah,
have been the case, but this year they got shooters, man. They got gunners for sure.
if you would have taken a poll at the beginning of the season and said 11 games in, the Celtics would have 3 guys shooting better than 40%, who would those 3 players be? I guarantee you, Peyton Pritchard would have been on everyone's top 3 list.
Oh yeah,
Guarantee
no
it.
question.
And it would have made sense. But again, Sam Hauser's ability to just shoot threes. Tatum is shooting at a high clip.
He's
Malcolm
flirting with
Brogdon,
40. He's not over
yeah,
40, but he's flirting
right.
with it. Yeah, Tatum,
Right, because I think he came into the game at like 39.8 or 38.8, something like that.
something
But
like
they've
that.
got,
Yeah.
yeah, they got a bunch of guys that are shooting. You got 3 over 40, and they got a couple others who are shooting in the high 30s. And when you're shooting the free ball as much as they do, and you're shooting it that well, uh, you're a problem. You're going to
Mm.
cause major problems for teams because then you become that team where you can't focus on any one guy. Because I mean, look, you pay too much attention to Tatum, Jalen is going to kill you. You pay too much to Jalen, Jason is going to kill you. You pay a lot of attention to both. You got Sam Hauser, who's would be more than happy to knock down some open jump shots if you give it to him. You got Derek
Yeah.
White, who has become a different kind of shooter. He's worked on his technique, and I wrote about that a couple months ago about how he spent some time with his shooting coach and working to refine his form and have it be consistent throughout. And because his before this year, I like Derek, but his shot form was all over the damn map. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
we're
was.
talking like Cali to Kalamazoo, all over the map. Somewhere it was in there somewhere. But now, he's very consistent with it, and
Right.
the results are playing out in that regard. And that to me is why this team is kind of scary, because like I said, they're doing a lot of really good things, but it's clear that there are levels that they haven't even scratched the surface that they can go to. And that is what championship caliber teams do. They figure
Yep.
out how to win until everything comes together. And when everything comes together, they no longer are looking to win. They're looking to bury you. They're looking to put you 6 feet under in 6 minutes or less.
Yep.
That's the mindset that they have to have. And again, the way this team is built, the way this team is playing, the attitude and edge that I think they're starting to play with a little bit more, they're going to be a problem for playoff time. They're going to be a major problem.
Absolutely. No question, I think, man, because they're not showing any signs of slowing down. Tatum, another 30-plus point night, 34 points. Jalen had 25. Once again, the Celtics beat the Nuggets 131-112. We got John Zannis, who's so motivated by this Celtics game that he said he's going to check in with us in a little bit. So we got that.
What?
We got Bobby Manning. Yep. I wonder what John's going to say. This is a really positive game for the Celtics, so we'll see what John's got for us. Like I said, Bobby Manning is here, of course, in TD Garden, as well as me and Sherrod. He's going to be in the locker room. We'll see what he comes up with. I'm sure he'll join us in about a few minutes. But the conversation heading into this game, obviously, especially if you watched the Wednesday night show, was Malcolm Brogdon's status. Now, it was before the game. Joe Mazzulla was asked before tip-off about Malcolm Brogdon. He said he's day-to-day. Malcolm Brogdon, of course, out with hamstring, I'm not gonna say injury, but I guess stiffness, whatever you want to call it. It's sore or it's not feeling great. Are you buying this that he's day to day? John's gonna he's gonna play devil's advocate, but how concerned are you after hearing Joe Mazzulla say that Malcolm Brogdon is considered day to day?
I'm always concerned when players are missing
Malcolm
games
Brogdon. Oh yeah.
and your name's Malcolm Brogdon. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned, and not like, oh my gosh, he may never play another game for the Celtics. I'm not that kind of concerned. I'm more concerned about the fact that they're going to, in all likelihood, go with some type of load management program for this
Yeah.
guy. We're not even a full month into the season, but I don't believe it's one of those things where Malcolm is just trying to milk the injury and just not playing rest up. I think he's legitimately hurt. You look at the way he plays, the way he competes. He's not built to sit on the bench. I know it frustrates the hell out of him because he knows part of his role isn't only to go out there and produce, but it's also to be a leader. And to me, I worry more about that part of his absence than the actual production, because I think they've got enough guys who can, statistically speaking, make up for what he brings to the table in terms of points and assists and things of that nature. But it's that leadership quality that in so many ways separates him from a lot of guys in this league, that I love the fact that he's with that second unit, because you've got
Yeah.
Tatum and Brown and Al doing the damn thing with the first group, and that second unit really didn't have that cog that bench could galvanize around and be that leader. And Malcolm has been that guy. And the idea that he will only be able to maybe have a voice instead of a physical presence on the court here and there, and miss games here and there, it does concern me, because my big concern is that day to day becomes week to week, comes month to month, and the next thing you know, he's played 25, 30 games, and the season is over in like a month. And that's my big concern about
Yeah.
Malcolm, that this injury will not necessarily get worse, but it may be one where they'll be so cautious about it that he's going to miss games simply to make sure that they hopefully have him as healthy as possible come playoff time. But the thing about playoffs, as we know, Josue, we've seen it happen many times. As much as it is important to be healthy, it's arguably as important to have a rhythm with that health.
Right.
And I worry that he's not going to play enough games and have enough minutes to get in the kind of the flow and rhythm that you're going to want a key sub, a key player on your team to have come postseason.
I'm with you, Sherrod. I agree for sure, because I think the load management program is definitely the way to go. I think there's just too much on the line, right? He's just too important, too vital. But with that being said, you also want him to have his reps going into the postseason, right? You look at a team like the Golden State Warriors, who were riding high pretty much throughout the second half of the year, and then Steph went down. He took 6 weeks off or 4 weeks off, whatever it was, and he was able to go into the playoffs, and he was fresh, right? Other guys did the same thing. I'm just wondering what kind of balance is that going to be with the Celtics in terms of making sure that he's all right, also making sure that he has enough games under his belt, that he's in tune, he's in rhythm with these guys, because he looks so damn good out there, man. I mean, we know what this team was missing in the NBA Finals, and I think that's the biggest piece in terms of just addressing what the many concerns that were for the Celtics throughout that series. Whether it's having a secondary playmaker, a scorer, a defender, and someone in that backcourt. I mean, that's how important Malcolm Brogdon is. So if it means him not playing at the second end of back-to-backs, or him missing games here and there, I'm for it. I'm all for it. Or even a minutes restriction, that's fine, because the NBA Finals and NBA playoffs is It's 4 months away. NBA Finals 6 months away. That's all. That's going to be so vital for this team in terms of them get back to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have to figure out a plan that will, at a minimum, keep him relatively upright and ready to go come playoff time. Because even if you've got a out of rhythm Malcolm Brogdon, that's still better than an injured Malcolm Brogdon. So
exactly.
they know what they need to do. And then you just look at the load management plan that they had for Al Horford last year. That I don't think a lot of people were ready to co-sign on that. This is going to work. This is going to work. I'm not even sure Al felt that it was going to necessarily work, but he was a much more impactful player in the postseason than I think most people expected.
Oh, no question. His numbers went up across the board.
And a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were very strategic in how they utilized him during the season. And we see some of that now. I think we'll see more of that as we get closer towards the end of the season. And in all likelihood, we're probably going to see that with Malcolm to some extent. And that's just kind of how, if you're the Celtics, you have to be smart enough to manage core guys' minutes, particularly when they're in a situation where their health has been an issue in the recent past. So Bobby's back. We might as well just start. Let's hear the Luke Kornet.
The Luke Kornet wrap up.
Big Daddy Luke should have his own theme music. We should have just Big Daddy Luke theme music.
Well, that's that line. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Sherrod. All right, Bobby, what you got? Welcome back.
What do you got for us, Bobby?
I'm thrilled to see him get more aggressive in this game. I don't think we need to do a Kornet segment, but I'll oblige. Why not?
Couple minutes.
The post hooks he was hitting over Jordan, I wasn't expecting to see from him. Most of this year, we've seen him offensively just kind of play his part and try to do dribble handoffs and chase boards and all the little things in between it. He almost didn't want to shoot, it looked like, to start this year. Outside of that 3 he hit, I haven't really seen him look to score all year. So obviously, I think someone must have told him, you have looks, you have space underneath, put it up. And he saw it against Jordan, and credit to him, he was very aggressive. This is a really good game from him again. And he's emerged as that backup center that they've needed. You didn't need much there. Everyone's saying, go get Dwight, go get Whiteside, all these guys who are going to want big minutes. Good thing about Kornet is, he knows he's a role guy on the team. He really stays within that role, and he does a great job in limited minutes. I mean, you can't ask for more from a guy in 13 minutes than what he's given you in a game like this. He just owned DeAndre Jordan out there.
Yeah, but and Bobby, as we talked about on Press Row, 2022 DeAndre Jordan comes at a little bit cheaper price to own than 2015, 2018 DeAndre. But I will say this though, give Luke props. He recognized the opportunity to make his mark, just step right in, just like John Zannis, just step right in, low key, no one saw it coming. I see you. What's up, Jay-Z?
I jumped in just in time for the Kornet talk. Unbelievable.
Exactly. We were waiting for you to jump
You're coming in hot, John.
Chronicles.
Audio-wise?
Hot, John, yeah.
Of course he's coming in hot. We talking about Luke Kornet. What you expect?
Yeah, he's excited. It's fine.
How about that? Do I sound better?
Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. I'm just here. I'm just hanging.
No, but Luke was good, man. I mean, this was good. This was great Luke Kornet. This is whenever they do the 30 for 30 on Luke Kornet, this is probably going to be prominently played.
Hey, at this point, you can't deny it. The impact is real. He's just making an impact on the game whenever he gets in there, and it's great to see the bench unit thrive in a game without Brogdon. Like those are some really key stretches from those guys. The Hauser plus minus stretch continues here. What did he end this game at? I saw he was plus 11 at one point. He ends at plus 12, so he's going to continue to be one of the more like impactful plus minus guys in the league. And you got Pritchard coming in doing what he did. I thought White was sensational on defense. Like this was another good showing from a bench that I think you looked at and said, are they going to be able to survive without all that stuff Brogdon was doing? And I thought they were just head and shoulders above a pretty deep Denver team. They have a good bench.
Yeah, Denver is no slouch. I mean, there's a reason why those guys came in here 8-2. I mean, it wasn't just because they played a bunch of cupcakes. They're a good team. They got the damn 2-time league MVP, who is in tip-top shape. But the thing I liked about this game was that there were kinks in this Denver armor, and the Celtics absolutely exploited them. Jokic does not like to defend outside beyond the free throw line, and he didn't. And Al made him pay. Aaron Gordon, Mr. Dunk, Mr. Lob can do all that stuff. Not really much of a factor outside of that. So when you're defending him, you give him space to shoot, and they did that. Get in his head a little bit, which I thought Grant did on multiple occasions. Marcus Smart getting in position to draw charges. There's so many, and we talked about this earlier, Bobby. Just so many fundamental things that they did in this game that allowed them to beat a really good team with relative ease. And one of the key cogs for them, Malcolm Brogdon, was doing the same thing we're doing, watching the damn game. So that's
so was Rob. Do you see Rob getting up, jumping up and down? He's looking good physically.
Well, I need him to do some of that jumping up and down just a little bit further north, a little bit closer to the court, like, in the paint. Yeah, like near the stanchion, maybe. That's what I really need to see. But again, this was a good win for them because that's a good Denver team who, again, they had their best player ready to go, and they really made him a non-factor, which is crazy when I think he had like 27 and 10 or something like that. But you never really felt like Jokic.
Why does this always happen when he plays the Celtics? He's following, he looks tired. Like, if you only watch Celtics Nuggets games, if you're one of those fans, you're probably like, how is this guy the MVP?
Well, Al is a problem for him. Al, for whatever reason, he just doesn't match up well. And Marcus, low-key, gets in his head. I don't know if he gets in his head, but Marcus does enough to irritate him. Drawing those charges, swiping at the ball. Defending him like he's not used to having a guy 6'4" try to defend him. And Marcus will do some of that. And so I think the Celtics are just a unique matchup for him that they always give him problems.
John, what do you think? What are your takeaways? This is a statement win for the Celtics?
This game was insane. I mean, Denver's a good team, and the Celtics are a level up from them. I mean, every time you looked, it was like, oh, wow, Denver got it to 6, got it to 5, got it to 7. And then you look up again and be like, it's 15. Like, relentless, relentless.
And that's happened 3 times, John, in this recent stretch here, the Bulls game.
Relentless. I'm not, I'm not taking a victory lap over it, but I just keep going back to the offense. Like, I don't care. I don't care about the defense. If your offense is scoring 130 points. You shouldn't, because one, I thought they actually played defense well for spurts tonight when it mattered. 2, again, the defense is a thing where I still believe it's a choice. And when they want to clamp down and when they want to give max effort for 4 quarters, when it really counts, it's there. They're still there. They can still do that. The offense is they're on a different planet right now. The way that they're playing. I mean, they've shot 55% or better, I think 4 out of the last 6 games. They shot 62% from 2 tonight, 43% from 3. This is insane. And we keep waiting for the bubble to burst. And I just don't think it bursts. That's the point. Like, this offense is real. And like, you see comments after the game, first comments we've really seen, like, specific, not first, specifically complimentary of Joe Mazzulla, Al Horford going out there and being like, we're doing what Joe's telling us. He's obsessed with space and pace, and this is what we're doing. And like, this is stuff we're screaming about last year when it didn't look like they have it. They're just playing on such a higher level than they were before. And you can see it with everybody. Like Tatum, he's moving guys places, no, get over there, like this isn't, you got to get, and he's getting annoyed sometimes if people aren't doing it. They all have jobs and roles and places to be to open up the offense for everybody. And when they do it, it's just freaking relentless. They're just attack, open three. It's a really hard team to defend right now. In addition to a ton of one-on-one mismatches all over the floor when Tatum and Brown are out there. It is such a hard team. And again, surround them with shooters, create a little bit of space, pick up the tempo, and bang, and that's what happens. I walked away from this game. I'm like, Denver's my sneaky like dark horse pick for a finals team out of the West this year. Okay, Celtics are down 2 of their top 6 players, and they freaking drilled them. Okay, so that just shows you what level the Celtics are on versus I think a lot of the rest of the league right now. They're somewhere else right now.
I'm glad you brought up that Horford endorsement too, because that's a big one. I mean,
it's a big one, but all of it, yeah.
He's a veteran in the room. I remember talking to him during camp, and I'm like, "Oh, what do you know about Joe?" And he actually said, like, "I don't know a lot. Like, I really didn't I just got here last year. I didn't get to know him a ton last year because of the whole COVID stuff going on." And he was impressed at the time, but now he really goes all in there on an endorsement of what he's doing and his role, which is a little bit different. He's almost exclusively shooting threes, right? And everybody just seems to be satisfied with what they're doing offensively. Like you said, everybody's in the right position. Everybody's enhancing each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's weaknesses are getting minimized a little bit, and they just blow by teams.
I think it was Denver last year when I fully bought in too. I think it was a Denver game during that stretch where they were killing everybody, but it was a bunch of chump teams. Then they went out and beat Denver by like a zillion points. And I was like, okay, it's real, and so like I kind of got that same vibe, but on the other end with the way the offense was playing. And I know Denver's not a terrific defensive team, but that was kind of the vibe I got. Sorry, Sherrod, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's a little hard to bitch and moan about your offense when you put a $130 up on a nightly basis. I mean, what are you going to complain about? You're scoring, you're getting great looks at the rim, you're getting points in the paint, you're getting points behind the 3-point arc. You have literally put together an offensive weaponry that what do you try to stop? Because everything you try to stop, it's like playing whack-a-mole with these guys offensively. If you try to take away the 3, they're finishing at the rim. If you take away finishing at the rim and pack the paint, they're knocking down open shots. And if you try to like double team or tilt and do all that kind of stuff with any type of regularity, Caden is at a point now where he's sniffing that out real early and kicking the ball, knowing that either my teammate's going to get an open shot or the defense is going to rotate back and I'm going to get it back, have an ISO one-on-one, and you can't stop me at that point. And so this team, they're just playing a different brand of offensive basketball that we haven't seen anyone at this point can stop. I mean, think about this. They've lost 3 games, 2 of which went to overtime, to the one team that they probably match up the worst against, which is Cleveland, because of the size. And they don't have really the type.
This was a big team too.
Yeah. And again, this was a big team, but this was a team not nearly as skilled around the rim as Cleveland. No disrespect, but when I think about Jared Allen, I think about DeAndre Jordan. I don't think about apples and apples. It's more like apples and a very small grape. DeAndre ain't that dude no more. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
Sherrod is just so, I don't know if you're just bummed out or you're just like shocked.
I'm just disappointed in DeAndre. I thought he had a little more in the tank than he had. But
when did you think that? How many years ago did you think that? And why did that thought get frozen in your head?
Because my thinking, John, was that there was enough in the tank so that he would actually be moving, not going fast, but just actually moving. He's just body out there sucking up air. There's nothing left. Just sucking up air.
Okay, I have been informed recently by our producers at home that we've been delinquent, my friends. We've been delinquent tonight.
What do you mean? Oh, we didn't pay bills. Shit.
What have we not done?
We didn't.
John, listen. I'm like Marcus Smart. I'm just sitting in the corner waiting for. I look. I'm not
Yeah.
running point. Bobby did it.
We're not past due yet. We got time.
I know Bobby has specific instructions that I'm not privy to. So I'm going to let Bobby do that at some point. But we are going to tell you about Athletic Greens as well, because we've got a bunch of you in here. And this is what we do. We're telling you about our sponsor, Athletic Greens. Go to athleticgreens.com/garden and sign up for this. It's great. 75 vitamins, minerals, all in one scoop of water. You pour it in the morning, take it down. That's it. You're done for the day. Don't have to go shopping for a zillion pills and vitamins. So make sure that you check that out. It is diet friendly. There's no sugar in it. It's endorsed by countless celebrities and healthcare professionals. Every single one of us on the Garden Report is a loyal AG1 user, and we love it. And I just got another shipment in there. So thank you very much for that. So you guys should check it out. And again, to make it easy on you, go to athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply, vitamin D, 5 free travel packs. And again, if you're at all interested in this stuff, do your own research, look it up. You don't have to just take our word for it. See whether it's for you. And if it is, please go in there. And like I said, check that out, athleticgreens.com/garden. Go through there. That way they know we're the ones who sent you, and pick up your free gift as well. Please do so if you are at all interested in something like this and taking back your health. We said gut health, immune system, mental clarity, all of that stuff. AG1 is there for you. Guys, I'm sure you've talked about everything at this point. You could go on and on and on. Like, I know it's nice. You got the one-off. You know, you got a good Kornet game. You got great stuff from Pritchard, which was nice to see him. And just such a spark. Full disclosure, I was at the game as a fan tonight. That's why I come in. That's why I come in all jacked up. I watched the whole freaking thing.
John was waving the green towel.
No, my phone.
He's like, I gotta talk about this team right now. Let's go.
No, I was psyched about it. I wanted to jump on, but
that makes sense.
You know, you guys got all the fancy credentials and stuff, so I had the gun at home. I had to get my dad home too. But I love all of that energy, but I guess just the whole of it is just so impressive. I think Sherrod said they just beat you so many different ways. And it's just, everybody's just so confidently and, just so secure in their roles right now. It doesn't look kind of like, what are we doing out here? I feel like there are times last year where it just seemed disorganized on the offensive end. They were all relying on one guy to make things happen. Even when they kicked the guys for open shots, they weren't going in. I can't. They had 97 points tonight after 3 quarters. They topped 97 points twice in the finals.
John,
I was going to say, there's some games where if they could finish with 97 points, you're thinking like this was a good night offensively.
97 twice in the finals, they eclipsed 97. It's just it's like a completely different team. What's up, Bobby?
I was going to say, I didn't want to go down this road, but you look at what's going on here. You look at what's going on in Utah, and like you got to look at those 2 coaches on Ime's staff last year and just be like, they had the goods offensively. They are just delivering in terms of the system they're implementing, in terms of what they're having players do. And this is what's really shocked me. The players seem to really want to do this stuff. They're smart point guard, facilitating. Tatum running up the floor. Who would have ever thought we'd see Tatum running like this? Brown getting off the ball, even though he wants to grow as a playmaker, but becoming a screener, something we never saw him do last year. All these guys are doing stuff that they've been somewhat resistant to do in the past, and it looks so natural. And this is the question I really can't get an answer to right now. Is what? Where's this commitment come from to pace and all this screening and passing and stuff that we it looked like was death to go through last year?
Well, it's interesting because Kess, our man Kess here, a loyal a viewer on the Garden Report. Excellent point here. And I know Kess was not a Brad guy, very unabashedly so. We heard about it quite a bit, and I think we were all there on it during those last days of Brad. I think we were there, they needed a new voice. But again, I know Bobby, and I'm not calling you out here, but a lot of people thought it unimaginable that this team could ever be coached by Brad. And as Kess puts it in this comment, since then, you've now had 2 coaches that have taken the team to levels you would have never guessed they could get to, and that they never came close to, but that they never achieved with Brad, which is crazy. Ime took him another level last year with his defense. And now whatever's going on with this Mazzulla offense, and I think as much of it has to do with growth of the players. I always thought the key to this team reaching another level was Tatum and Brown continuing to level up. Growth is not linear. It's not guaranteed. Some players take steps back. Look at Julius Randle, for example, last year. Some players stay flat for a while. Some players just kind of plateau, and that's who they are. So you were banking on continued growth. Tatum's a top 2 MVP candidate right now. He's out of his freaking mind. And so we're talking, can he get into the top 10? He's firmly in the top 5, and it's not even a question the way he's playing right now. Those guys have leveled up. But to the question, why are they taking to Joe? I think so much of it has to do with fun. Offense is fun. Defense is work. Like, if that's how you're going to win, and you say we go out there and we space it around, we whip the ball around, we score 130 points a game, and we all touch the ball, awesome. Sign me up for that, and that's kind of what they're doing right now. And if you see results, you buy in a little bit more, and the results are there extremely early from preseason, Bobby. Game 1, what did we say? Oh my God, the pace and space that this team is playing with,
we
right
couldn't
out of the
believe
gate's
it.
Incredible. Right out of, I was like, Tatum's running, they're pushing the ball, they're looking to run. Yeah. They bought it early because I think they wanted to. I think they like it, and so then it started to work, and then from there, you're putting up a friggin' 130 spot. Like it's nothing. It's unbelievable.
I think part of it has to do with the fact that when you have the kind of season they did last year, you have that kind of success, and you get to the finals. And then when it's over, you kind of inspect, where did we fall short? The struggles offensively jump out like nothing else. And so it's easier, I think, to get guys to buy into being more focused on executing at a high level at that end of the floor. Yep. Because that literally costs you a championship. Your inability to be a better offensive team costs you a championship. And we're seeing right now, they're not just scoring the ball more, they're scoring it more effectively, more efficiently, and they're doing it in a multitude of ways, so that you can't just look at the Celtics tape and say, well, if we take away the threes, we can beat them easily. Hell no. You got Tatum finishing at the rim with contact now. You got Jalen being aggressive. Derek White. You got the smallest guy on their damn roster is getting you 4 offensive rebounds. That's how good they are offensively now. And that is it's a major problem for team defenses, because there's no clear silver bullet or 2 or 3 that you can hit these guys with and shut that offensive down. If anything, they're going to have bad shooting nights to be beat at this point. If they look that good, that it's not even going to be about you locking Tatum up or putting the clamps on Jalen. It's about them missing shots that they normally make.
Right. And you know what, too, Sherrod? The core of this team, I just think the experience of what happened last year was molding them into just being battle-tested guys who know the right things to do. And then you bring in Malcolm Brogdon, you bring in, guys who come off the bench who reinforce that approach. I think that's what's really been helping this team so much in the offensive side of the floor. Now, a lot of teams, it may take them a week or two to sort of find that continuity. It may take them a while to sort of find their stride. But for the Celtics team to find it so early and clicking on all cylinders the way they are, and doing it in this fashion without Malcolm Brogdon, without a key guy on the offense, the second unit coming up big without Malcolm Brogdon being a part of it, I think it shows a much character of this team. It shows just where they are mentally and how focused they are, and it also shows, especially after what Michael Malone had to say, the head coach of Denver Nuggets. It showed that they were so prepared and so game planned to take on the Celtics, and it still didn't even matter. I mean, Malone was saying all the right things. He pinpointed guys like Hauser and what this offense can do. He really did his homework going into this, and it just didn't matter. The Nuggets got with the point, and even though thinking, okay, they may lose this lead, but as long as they keep fighting, they'll regain it. And that's the closest they got. They regained the lead. Three was a 9-4 run, coming out of the timeout, and the Nuggets, they never came close again after that. And all of a sudden, it's a 20-point game. I mean, that's how explosive this offense is right now.
Yeah, and they're doing it against good teams. That's the thing. We're not talking about the Indiana Pacers and guys that are at the back of the pack, teams that are going to be vying for that number 1 overall pick. This is a good Denver team, a team that I think John is spot on, that they could be one of those sneaky good teams come playoff time. That if you blink, next thing you know, the Joker is playing for all the marbles in the Western Conference Finals. Wouldn't shock me at all. But the way that the Celtics were able to just dismantle that team tonight, with their offense, with their bench production, with their scoring, with their rebounding, which has been a major Achilles heel
Their
for them.
rebounding's been so good.
Yeah, I mean that to me, and their ability to hold their own and in many instances win that particular phase of the game. That's a big part of why they're able to score so many points, because their defense doesn't have nearly as much stress on them as we've seen in past years, where they're giving up offensive rebound after offensive rebound, which leads to more time defending than they would want to. Their ability to rebound allows that offense to get out and run, and as we talked about before, speed up the pace, get into transition quicker.
I love that point. I love that point on the rebounding too, because the Celtics are playing so small. How worried were we about that after the Toronto games in the preseason? And it did hit them a little bit early this season. Timely offensive rebounds that led to big baskets in close games. And then they just start gang rebounding. Like the guards come in, Tatum will tip it to a guy. Like they're right there. They're all in the paint. Horford's grabbing big ones. I feel like his rebounding's gone to another level this year. Like that is huge stuff that they're doing in there in terms of handling the little things. You can't say enough about just how like keyed in on the details this group is. And to your point earlier, John, I want to expand upon that. This is like 3 games now where teams have made runs against them. As Chicago on Friday, you had the Grizzlies on Monday, and then the Nuggets here. They could never get over the line. Like they'd get within a possession or two, and then the Celtics just expand the lead again. And it's just because of these rotations that they have that are also balanced and effective. Like they have great bench unit. They have great starters. It's all so well put together right now.
It's nuts. And again, I think it's just not only getting better, better from your best players and your stars all performing at higher levels this year, but just the way it's come together on the bench is so interesting because of the Hauser contribution and the Brogdon addition. And that's what you lose here. The only reason Denver made runs is because that second unit wasn't able to do what it's been doing to other teams, which is extend leads. And that's where you suffer a little bit without that Brogdon-led second unit, because they just kind of keep the pressure on, so many open shots, and then all of a sudden you're like, what happened? The way that they've been playing has been insane, but it's just the pieces fit here, really, really, really well. And it's just, like I said, if this team's fully healthy right now, I don't know who beats them. They're
going to add Rob to this. Yeah. Like that's insane.
It's really hard to imagine. And this is going to be now the Celtics are a buyout destination too, because you're going to be looking at this and be like, yeah, I might be able to sneak out a chip here. Jumping over here, because you can count the real contenders on one hand, and the Celtics are clearly one of them right now. And there's a lot of good teams, but still, they're going to be
This is another one, John. Right? It's the Nuggets. Like it's impressive. It's an impressive win.
They're supposed to be, right? Yeah.
I can't wait to see them play the Bucks, because obviously the Bucks started 9-0. Like they've been up there too.
The bench still. Yeah. The Bucks are great too. It's again, they're certainly, that's going to be there, but it's so impressive right now, especially, just the last few games. It's just the way the offense has been clicking. It's just, that's why I came home jacked up. I was like, this team's on another freaking planet right now. It just, and you're there and you're in person. It's just they're just relentless on offense. They just keep coming, and the ball movement is so great, and people cutting and the passing, and it's just whipping around in just ways that it just wasn't before. It's just such a far cry from what we saw from this team offensively last year. It's incredible. That's where I'm at. Bobby, you got something to tell us, my man?
Not that I know of.
No? I thought Guy reached out to you about something. I thought we had a special promo tonight.
Maybe there's a show tomorrow. We can put it out there tomorrow.
I feel like tonight was important, but
I know it's a good tease. What happened?
Are we teasing the pod, Josue? Is that what it is?
Pod? Oh no, I don't know what he wanted.
Oh no, not that. This is something with you
and. We'll put that out there, right? Me, Max, and Josue did a live Cedric Maxwell podcast last night. That should be out tomorrow, as far as I know. Good conversation.
So that's not live if it's not out yet. That's not what live means.
In person. Is that the phrase? Okay.
It's been a
No,
while.
it's
Yeah.
awesome. They shot it on location at our East Boston studios. It's super cool. That will be out. Cedric Maxwell podcast, in addition to some other fun segments that those guys did. I'm not sure if that was necessarily the promo for tonight.
Yeah, we
Bobby,
did some social stuff too. But
Bobby,
yeah,
I'll give you the Kornet props tonight. He did a lot of good things. This was his best game of the year.
Yeah, I was stunned by. I think you were coming in when I was talking about him looking to score. I thought he was sort of going to have the Simmons thing going on, where like he was always just looking away from the basket and never going in there. But he put the shoulder right in the Jordan and went right over him a couple of times. And then what was that reverse putback he threw down?
Awesome. The dunk over his head, unreal.
Hey, victory lap here. Is anyone here ready for an apology cam yet?
That's not how they work.
See, Bobby, you ruined the moment. You ruined the moment.
Some people in the chat were asking.
If we have one on, one off, one on, then what? If he goes out and plays like a dog next game, you're going to apologize? It doesn't work that way. You got to let it breathe, buddy.
We had such a great moment.
Yeah.
This was such a great moment. We're feeling the Lukey love. And you ruined it, Bob.
People are too quick to call for the apology cam, okay? You got to wait. He was great. He was terrific tonight. Hey, was he going to start tomorrow?
Tonight.
Oh, in the back-to-back. Good question. They haven't played Horford yet on one of those. I can't imagine they're going to tomorrow. They keep saying they're going to, and then they don't. So, yeah, I think Kornet would start. Unless Grant does with White. Oh, what do you think of that change, by the way? That was interesting. Last 3 games, Grant comes in for White.
I like it, and I think it's necessary now with Brogdon out too, to do that. But again, it forces Kornet in, to the rotation, which is fine, and that's just what you have to do. He's the next man up there. I'm always worried that, he turns into a pumpkin or he just runs into that matchup where he's just really physically overwhelmed. In this matchup, you don't really, when you're playing your minutes. When you come in and your minutes are against DeAndre Jordan, athletically Jordan's going to do a thing or two occasionally, and he caught a couple of lobs there on the pick and roll. That's what he does. He can still jump, but he's pretty friggin' useless, and he's not really an offensive threat. So you just don't have to worry as much. You're not going to get beat up by a guy like Jordan, and Denver, despite their size, doesn't really have a true center that's going to eat him up. So again, I think it's a good matchup for him. I'm not trying to take anything away, but there are going to be some nights where it's just he's really going to get beat up physically, just because of who he is, and we're going to be like, ugh. So again, I always think it's you pick and choose your spots, and there's moments where he can be useful and he can contribute, but you got to manage those minutes carefully, make sure that it works. So again, who do they have tomorrow?
Detroit,
and then Oklahoma City on Monday
again.
Yeah,
I know.
You're getting a little softer stretch here these next 2, and then you get Atlanta and New Orleans later in the week. So those will be some good tests.
Yeah.
No, this is a good stretch here for them. I am curious what happens whether Kornet starts or not, because that'll be interesting. Again,
Detroit just looks bad.
I know, but you're just going to be down. I mean, you're going to be down Brogdon, possibly Al, and obviously not having Rob. That's a tough one. I don't care who you're playing. You're asking a lot on a back-to-back going on the road here. So we'll see how that goes.
And the Pistons are going to try to outmuscle you, right? They're going to chase the offensive rebounds. They're going to play big. A couple teams have tried to do that to the Celtics. Orlando, Chicago.
Al's minutes tonight, again, 35 minutes. Would have been nice if you could have gotten that down. I don't see him playing tomorrow.
No way. I don't think they're going to play him on back-to-backs this year. I think that's just their approach.
Even though they'll keep lying to us and saying that it's not a thing that they're doing, and then he'll never play a single back-to-back. Right. Like, oh, no.
He wakes up the next day. He wakes up the next day sore.
Yeah. So do I.
Me too.
I'm gonna be sore from this.
Hey, I will say, and we wrote about this last Saturday. I just have a gut feeling, and seeing him on the bench now, right? Him doing everything in practice. I have a feeling Rob's going to be back really soon. I don't think they're going to rush it.
Just from watching him celebrate?
Well, no, talking to him last Saturday, hearing about the things he's doing in practice. Seems like guys are excited about it. I'm not saying he's going to be back next week, But what were we thinking? Christmas, New Year's? Maybe it's a little sooner than that, like early December.
One of my favorite moments was he just exploded off the bench after that Pritchard steal from Jordan under the basket and a timeout. Frob just came friggin' flying off the bench there. He was geeked up. But yeah, I mean, he's out there. He's working out. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't that usually a thing? Guys a little closer to the team that it's just traveling with them. Like that usually means you're getting a little bit closer, doesn't it?
A little bit.
In theory, yeah.
We will see. Lights out all around for everybody tonight. Brown was unbelievable one of his most efficient games of the year. The way he shot the ball. Horford was unbelievable as well.
Horford's 47% from three this year.
That's the thing is, again, you're looking at 50 plus for Grant and Hauser. I don't know how those percentages are affected after tonight's games. And you have Horford in the 40s, Derek White in the 40s. That's the difference right now is whether or not those guys are, hot, will come back down to earth, or the offense is just creating the types of looks that are just more likely to be knocked down. I think Derek White certainly made some adjustments. Hauser, I think, is automatic. We've seen the way Grant shoots the ball, but Horford and White both ticking up this year is something you want to see. I mean, are they going to stay in the 40s all year long? I don't know. That would be something. I mean, again, you do expect at some point
that's the thing, right? It's gonna, what's that gonna look like? Because they're so reliant on it. I mean, that's something we've all been like we just don't.
But
it, right?
They're taking a lot of threes, but they're getting so many more possessions per game. And again, they shot. They shot under their average tonight. They're averaging more than 43s. They shot 37 tonight. So again, they're getting so many good looks around. If they were getting nothing around the rim and all their scoring came from threes, I'd be like, that's a problem. But it's not. They're scoring so well from the interior as well. And they're finishing at a much better clip than they were before. They're just an efficient offense. And then when they get those looks, they're knocking them down. But I don't think they have to do just that. It's just some possessions, that's the best shot that they end up with, and that's what they end up taking. But we're seeing them being aggressive and attacking and trying to get to the basket with regularity right now. So I'm just not worried that the only way that they can score are 3-pointers. I think if they were ice cold one game, they'll find other ways because they've shown that they can right now. Nothing worries me, Bobby. I don't know what you're so worried about. You're such a worrier.
Okay, because I'm just
I'm just kidding.
I know the level that they have to get at to win a champion. Like nothing short of that's going to be a good season, right? Like it's title or bust this year, just considering what they have. And if guys get hurt or whatever, you readjust your expectations. But this team's healthy, like you said, they're the bar none favorite. So they gotta really show that at that level.
Before we wrap, again, we want to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Calm. You should know about Calm by now, but if you don't, it's a number one wellness app out there that you can, get for yourself. It's got terrific music, sleep stories, nature sounds, different things that kind of help you relax, get your mind and body right, get you to sleep at night. If you go to calm.com/garden, you receive 40% off. It's a legitimately great deal for their premium subscription. That's their entire catalog, which they update constantly. So again, we really urge you, if you are interested in this kind of thing, or if you haven't tried it, you're a little hesitant, you want to look it up, go check this out. It's actually really cool. And again, everybody here at the Garden Report has this on their phone right now. We've got the Calm app, calm.com/garden. I use it nightly. I swear by it. I love it. Jimmy Toscano, little bedtime stories for Jimmy every night. He loves them. 40%
that's actually where he is now.
40%. God, Jimmy's hit the sack a long time ago with his Calm. 40% off a Calm premium subscription. So make sure you get that. Guys, closing thoughts?
Good win. On to Detroit. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those matchups. I'm excited for tomorrow. I think Detroit will bring it again. It'll be a pretty good game.
Offense. Offense is better than defense. That's it. That's all I have to say. You can't fix.
Hey, this is a good defensive. There's a good defensive.
A bad offensive team stays a bad offensive team. Teams can change their defensive intensity. I'm not worried about this team defensively in the least. I'm not at all. The offense is what matters. You have it or you don't. You're not all of a sudden going to find it. And the fact that they have it and they have it clicking this early is unreal. There might be another level they can take it from there, Bobby. Again, we're talking maybe the shots don't fall with the same regularity, but the way that they operate and the way that this offense runs, the more that they run it and the more comfortable they get is great. And plus, again, defense has picked up. I actually thought the defense played pretty well tonight. It was fairly aggressive. I'm not worried about the defense at all. I'm not either, by the way. I love the way this team is playing offensively.
I know Josue mentioned Malone's comments pregame. He was talking about the Celtics, and he said that you see the numbers with the Celtics. They're just going to get better defensively as the year goes on. He was pretty impressed with Boston's defense coming in, even though the numbers were bad.
Yeah.
We do have Josue, too, man. We'll get a last thought from him.
I like it. Is he hanging out there?
Yeah.
There he is. Josue, you can close it. You can take us home.
All right. I'm not saying I'm worried about the defense, but it does have to get better.
I'm saying I'm worried about the defense.
If they're going to win a championship, no?
I think so, yeah.
It'll get better.
John, you'll be the first
I'm not worried,
to say this team needs to be better on defense. Like,
I don't care about defense. Guys, I've been saying this all.
The very next loss, you'll say that.
John wants them to globetrotter their way to a title.
I can do two things, okay? There's more nuance to this than that. I can say they played bad defense, but also not be concerned about the defense. And that's where I am. I can recognize that they've played some crap defense throughout the course of this year at certain times, but also say I'm not at all worried about it. I'm really not. And I'm not saying they can just run and gun and play no defense. I'm just not worried that when they want to play defense and turn it up, that they will and they can. And I can say you see it for spurts, and they did it tonight where they're just buzzing all over the place and Denver's trying to find a way to crack it and they can't. It was reminiscent of some of the stuff that they were doing last year. You could see it felt like Denver's possessions were taking longer than the Celtics possessions. They were just trying to figure out what's my point of attack. I felt like the Celtics were aggressive. I think some of the physicality, and some of the chippiness in this game actually upped their defensive intensity a little bit. I think the way Jokic went at Grant right in the beginning, he's like, screw this friggin' Batman Joker character. And he just started hitting him and going at him. I think that kind of set the tone that they were like, oh, okay, so that's what we're going to do. And they got into it, and I like that. And I think that's there when they want it.
Hey, last thing, what was that Gordon? I still don't really know what happened there. Just decked right out of nowhere.
He bought a call. The refs had no choice but to call it, but they knew it was bullshit. And I think they were thrilled he missed both free throws. And then Grant got called on the biggest bullshit foul on the next possession going the other way because the refs were like, yeah, bang, right back at you.
We owe him. Right.
We owe you. Like, fine, we had to call that, but it was garbage. And then they tagged him with a real cheapie the next time down. So, I mean, when you look at the tape, yeah, Gordon runs into him and friggin' knocks him over, but it was such garbage.
Well done by Grant to play it off. Well done.
He flopped his ass off. Yeah.
Well done.
Proud of him for that. Yeah. You're proud of that. He's like, it's almost like what Marcus is still that guy. He still does it from time to time. But remember, like a few years ago when it was like every other week, it was the flopping here and there. And
Marcus
the worst one was that
crazy.
game against Atlanta with Kyle Korver. That was the worst one ever.
Can you believe we've got two of these guys now? Teams must hate them. Oh my god.
At least with Grant, he's been a little less obvious. I think he's been taking notes. Like he's like
I think Grant's even worse.
The Nuggets weren't happy, John. You could tell.
They were like, come on. Even after it, when they gave it to him, Murray's like, yeah, but it was bullshit, right? He's like talking, right. And Grant's trying to talk to him like, no. It was, he's like, yeah, it was bullshit though. Like it was like, Grant's still like pleading his case
because Grant
just walk away.
He wants to convince referees that he's not lying all the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Well done.
Well done. Don't ruin this for me. I'm trying to build some trust here.
I love it. Tatum's behavior has been much better, even though he's gotten some shitty, a couple of texts gone his way. I think he's repairing his reputation with the refs. I think Grant might be the most hated guy in the league, but maybe behind Draymond as far as the refs are concerned. They don't like his act. They don't like his act at all.
Right, but winning helps, and obviously he's scoring 30 plus night after night. Speaking about
Tatum, Smart's not getting those flops. He's got to just stop flopping. He's got to stop flopping on the charges. He's not getting them. The word is out. He's got to stop.
Yeah, that's true.
He'll get one out of like 7 or 8 of them. It's just not worth doing it because you basically are giving up on the play every time you try. He should stop.
Well, Tatum's also getting trips to the free throw line, right? And it's not just him.
Tatum's been great.
Yeah, he's not like acting. He's drawing fouls, legitimate fouls. So
he's going stronger.
It's hard to complain throughout the entire night when you've gone through the line, 15 times, or the other night when in New York over 20.
His approach is different. He's going stronger. I mean, he's finishing creatively too, but he's just going stronger to the rim. Before, I felt like a lot of times he was just trying not to get blocked, but by doing that, he was also not drawing enough contact. Sometimes you just have to play through it. And he is more, and he's clearly getting fouled. I don't think he's getting more favorable calls this year. I do think he's a little too cute sometimes and just was trying to avoid contact, and he wasn't getting hit. Now he's getting hit and he's getting to the line and he's just going with more regularity. So it's been great. I think we wrap it, guys. We got another one tomorrow. I don't expect a full house, but at least I will be here. Bobby will be here. And we'll see who else. Jimmy Toscano, again, in his contract, weekends off, at least to start the year. Jimmy's like that guy. Jimmy's like that NFL veteran who skips training camp.
He's going to have to pay us back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't show up until like 5 days before,
it matters.
Before week 1.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Hard Hat Jimmy will be back soon, and we are going to wrap it. But again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm sorry I was late. Bobby, you started the show. Why don't you close the show?
That's it. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Is that all right? That's good enough. I'll press
such a Bobby way to do it.
That's it. Good night. Someone else do it. Sherrod, you close the show.
All right. Jeez.
They're going to Detroit, Sherrod. They go to Detroit.
I will not be going to Detroit, but again,
that's your spot.
It is my spot, but and hopefully it'll be the Celtics spot tomorrow night. Another opportunity to build off of a lot of good things here. There are going to be some missing pieces there, but just like the Garden Report, we make do when we have missing pieces. We get it done. Let's see if the Celtics can do the same. John Zannis, Bobby Manning, Josue Pavon, Sherrod Blakely. We are out.
I like it. Done.